this is an important, very important topic that we picked up today. And on paper, like I mentioned in my intro, the UGC's guidelines and the equity regulations, they're comprehensive and quite a welcome step. But from a policy perspective, and that's where you come in, what will determine whether these bodies have real authority rather than another box-ticking exercise, rather than remaining purely symbolic?
Thank you very much, and I must congratulate you for taking up this discussion. I will have a very different take on it. First is institutions, universities especially, are expected to be equitable institutions. If there is discrimination, and especially with children coming from different sectors and segments, we cannot call it an academic institution. So,
Fair
first
enough.
is that we have failed to develop institutions. We must work out to understand what made these institutions become non-institution. If there is discrimination in an academic institution, what do you expect from the society? So that is my first take on it, that you must work on making your institution equitable places where everybody has equal opportunity, and that is why we have said that all institutions must be inclusive. Your NAC parameters have overemphasis on whether institutions are equitable or not. If you are not able to do make your institution inclusive, equitable, then you have failed to develop an ecosystem, educational ecosystem, and you should
Right.
work on that first. Second, you already have internal complaints committees.
Yeah.
You have committees to look into complaints by women, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, other weaker sections. How many committees and commissions would you make? That means you have failed to implement the internal complaints committee, and they have not done their job. Why don't you work on them and make them robust? Third, I will say that there is already a mechanism of counseling. If you look at good institutions, you will find there is a center where students can rely on the teachers, on those who can hear them and work from inside. I'm reminded the student who committed suicide in IIT Bombay,
Right.
that student was already counseled because the institution had already identified that this child was suffering and he was in depression. You already have in committees, counseling committees. I have a feeling just creating one more body just because the Supreme Court has said this
Yeah.
is not a
Yeah.
very good idea. We have failed to really convince the Supreme Court that we already have mechanism in our
So essentially,
universities and
Professor, what you're
institutions.
saying is, instead of making these new bodies, what the institutions should actually have done was to make the existing internal complaints and redressal bodies more robust. That's what you're
Yep,
saying.
yep.